to the Montgomery County Municipal Utility District number 60 board meeting. It is 12 noon. Call this meeting to order. Start with a roll call. Director Betty Doherty.
Here.
Director Donna McAleer.
Here.
Director Bob Lux is here. Director Dale Walker is traveling. Director Mike Wise is here. Very good. We have a quorum. I'd like to begin with an opening invocation and our pledges of allegiance. Heavenly Father, we come to you today as an assembled body. We humbly request that you bless our meeting, our community, and our nation. Help us to work diligently, always for the common good and in the best interest of those who we have been elected to represent. Guide us to be insightful and prudent in our intentions, visions, plans, deliberations, decisions, and their fulfillment. Work through us to provide a spirit of welcome to all in attendance, to engage in respectful and thoughtful dialogue and discussion with understanding, wisdom, and humility. Amen. If you wish, prior to reciting the pledges of allegiance, please take an additional moment of silent prayer or additional reflection in the manner of your preference. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the United States of America. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pledge to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one nation, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. We have any comments from the public today? Mr. Colkhorst? Good afternoon. Nice to see you.
You guys get to. I'm back, but it'll be sporadic. Wanda Trope, who you come to that your meeting for about 7 months, is no longer with the company. So I'm back this month, and I also want to introduce Mr. Jordan over here, Mr. Marshall Jordan. He's been with the company for about 1 year and 3 months. He primarily spends a lot of time with his boots on out in the field up in the Woodlands Hills, monitoring those projects for us. But either he or I will be attending these meetings for the next few months. We are looking for another government liaison type person. Don't know when that'll happen or if it'll happen, but when if it happens, we may be introducing another party to the mix here. But I want to let you know, guys, let you guys know that we're still here. If you have any questions, you know how to contact us. Martin's gonna hand you guys some cards out after the meeting, and just wanted to introduce him and say hi.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We have a guest, Neil. I'll mispronounce your name, Neil. Neil Sosian. Sosian. Yeah, welcome. Nice to see you. Okay. Agenda item number 4. Consider an act on requests and adjustments for relief from the specific charges imposed by the district. Mike Mooney, please.
Nothing this month, sir.
Right answer. Thank you. Okay, consent agenda that goes from pages 1 through 16, I believe, in our meeting packets.
I move that the consent agenda be accepted.
Okay, any further discussion? Excuse me. I'll second that, and then discussion prior to.
I believe Director Walker also asked that if the San Jacinto River Authority would look into the companies that test AC water pipes. And so I don't see that in the minutes.
Okay,
I see that he handed out the 2 peer review publications, but there was a little bit of discussion with that. Not a lot, but some.
Katie, what's the right way to handle that? I mean, to confirm that I guess we'd have to look at the tapes, listen to the tapes and conclude that this did indeed happen as Director McAleer said, and then make the vote as an amended. Okay,
And then revised.
okay, okay. Thank you for that, Donna.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion through that? Okay, we have a motion, which is to approve a potentially amended um, minutes of the meeting. And that's been seconded. And all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Okay. Okay, that brings us all the way down to agenda item number 10. Shown on pages 17 through 20.
We're on to the third step of last month. Arthur Redehoff was nominated for the MCAP position. This month is time to vote.
Okay. So on pages 17 through 20. I'll make a motion that we cast our 10 votes for Arthur Bredehoff. Second,
I'll second that.
seconded by Director Doherty. Discussion? Further discussion? If hearing none, call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to agenda item 11. Receive the San Jacinto River Authority Woodlands Division report. I assume Mr. Meeks, being as you're the only one here, so I guess that's, oh, there's Aaron is back there. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Since I'm back, we have two interns, Peyton Ehrlich and Riley Giacchino.
Peyton and Riley.
And Riley, they're both students at Texas Tech. And so there are summer interns in our technical service department this year. They'll be leaving us on August 11th, so this was the last opportunity to attend one of the bud meetings and see what it's all
Well,
about.
welcome. Nice to have you here. I hope that your internship has been good.
Yeah, Peyton's actually a resident of Woodlands with his parents, so.
Congratulations. You're on a good career path. Thank you, Aaron. Chris, the floor is yours.
So I have a few items to cover. Prior to the meeting, I handed out this paper. This is the corrected version of what is page 40 in your packet.
Okay.
So I'm going to correct it at the top, but essentially the difference is on some of the calculations on the 85 and 95, they were looking at the wrong source file, so we adjusted that. But at the trustees meeting, one of the trustees had asked if we were going to talk about the drought contingency plan and what the triggers are. And so that's what this document is. This is a document that we use, so we just formatted it and printed it. So what you're looking at is on the far right-hand side, these are the stages of the drought contingency. So if any one of these stages are hit, there's another stage down at the bottom of the plan that says reduction of 5% in product or sales, reduction of 10%, whatever it may be. So when you're looking at this document, and you notice on the far right in yellow is groundwater. The drought contingency plan has two sections. One is for surface water, which is based on the lake level. The second, which is based on the production of the wells itself. So when you look at the table on the left, we've broken it up per water plants, water plants 1 through 5, and at the very bottom is overall production. So what we do is on the far left two columns, GPM and MGD, that's gallons per minute and million gallons a day. We look at the million gallons per day And we compare that against each of the stages you see after that, for stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, 5, whatever it may be. If those numbers in the various stages meet or exceed the MGD, then we know that we're in a certain stage of criteria. So what we've done is on the bottom right in the yellow, you can see the yellow highlighted sections. That is the highest total production from that facility for whatever amount of time it says above it. So in other words, water plant 1 total production is at 25% for wells for 1 consecutive day as of July 12th. So as you can imagine with the rain and the watering, so on and so forth, the watering schedule that is, one day you may go higher, the next day there's no watering, it goes down. Maybe you have a little sprinkle somewhere, so it goes down. Maybe it's hot for 3 or 4 days, so it goes up. So the drought contingency is set, so if you're in one day, nothing happens. But if it's 3 consecutive days at like 95% production from one plant, you can put the entire water system into a drought contingency at that point. What that means is it's a PR campaign, basically, just telling the residents we need to reduce production by a certain amount. So that's what this document is. It's a living document. It's changed as of the 12th, obviously. Every day we look at it and every day we make adjustments. But if we do get close to where we may actually have to enter a stage, let's say it says 7 consecutive days, we're on 5, we let Eric know. That way we can get some information out there ahead of schedule.
Very good.
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
I know the Public Education Committee is, would be the vehicle through which we would communicate that to
Correct.
the public. And so right now, we're in the voluntary, follow the rules. The rules have been put out there, water on Tuesdays and Thursdays and do it. I mean, I don't know the days because I don't live in a place where I got water, but 2 days and then water at night or early in the morning. Well, I've had constituents ask me, is there a penalty to the people that are watering at high noon? And, you know, what about the golf courses? And I didn't really have an answer to that. I didn't know if we had the bad water people police that were out there. And what did we do? Okay.
We have the water ambassadors, 2 guys that drive around looking for things like that. And then we have the ability to enforce fees or penalties. However, most of the time we have a nice talk with the individual if we can reach them and talk to them about what the rules are, what days they can water, how many days, things like that. And usually we are pretty successful in having those discussions. The commercial side is a little different. There are some enforced penalties on the commercial side because there's some repeat folks that are watering when they shouldn't. But so far it's been managed pretty well.
Now, what about the golf courses? They are always watering, it would seem.
I haven't looked at the golf courses enough to.
Yeah.
I don't look into that.
It's surface water, it's lake water for those.
That's what I've been figuring.
I can't guarantee 100%, but they draw water out of the lakes that are on the golf course.
Right.
They also draw water out of Lake Woodlands.
Okay.
Carlton Woods has their own well
Mhm.
to serve their lakes, to serve their facility. So I don't think there's no potable water I'm aware of that serves the area of a golf course.
I had a meeting and we reported that a couple of years ago before the new general manager came into the Woodlands Country Club. And we work very closely with the superintendents to make sure that there is only and they're very cognizant of the fact that they don't want to overwater either. So, and these are agronomists and trained professionals, and they measure this stuff very, very exactly and do the best they can.
Mhm.
Water at times when there isn't excessive evaporative loss and so forth, but
Mhm.
the details of that, it just happened before the old general manager took a new position,
Mhm.
and so a lot of that interaction was lost, but it's down to the course superintendent level.
Okay.
Okay.
I will answer their questions.
Yes.
I think also, I'm gonna add something. You're allowed to water outside the parameters as long as you're not using your sprinkling system, right? If you're individual,
And
Hand watering or one of those things you got setting over top that that's allowed, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I wouldn't.
Good to know.
Anything further?
Yes, sir. So another item on page 26, we received a couple of questions on a couple projects. One is going to be the well rehabs of 511 and 32. On those, we had two bidders, one at 1.1 million, almost 1.2, then one about 950,000. So the high bid was Weisinger, the low bid was Lane. So with the well rehabs, we typically have up to three bidders that can do the size that we're doing. Weisinger, Lane, and Allsay. It's not Lane, is it Allsay that got it?
That was also, I thought it was also.
Allsay got it.
Lane went out of business.
Yeah, Lane, I was shocked when you said Lane was still.
We were talking this morning about the bills and I got them stuck in my head. So we used to have Lane Christensen at the time,
Mhm.
but now it's just those two being Allsay and Weisinger. So Weisinger usually comes in cheaper, but this time Allsay got it. Give or take $200,000 difference between the bids and definitely under budget. About,
Oh, it is under budget.
it is under budget. I think budget was about 1.5. Double check real quick. 1.3 million
Was the budget or the,
was the budget.
okay.
So 928,000 is the contract, so give or take
Hmm, that's-
350 water.
When do you expect the work to begin?
Good thing you're here.
Yeah, good thing I'm here. So work started several weeks ago on pulling well 5, which is over water pit 2 on Shadow Bend research. And then I believe yesterday they were working on water well 11, doing the same pulling equipment, which is over off of Gosling, south of Woodlands Parkway. So then they'll be starting to, they did a televised down well 5, and then I think they're about to do well 11. But then well 5, because it's right next to the elementary school, we're planning on having the cleaning process done there by the end of the summer before school starts. That was just mandated contract. And then 11 can happen, and then 32 is the last one. They haven't done work done yet over by Fellowship of the Woodlands. But as far as the whole project's concerned, you're probably roughly talking about 8 months. The biggest part of it is for them to manufacture and get the new components, the well pumps, everything like that manufactured. That's what usually takes the most time. So there's usually a lull in the middle while they're getting all that equipment.
Is there any concern on well capacities doing it in July?
No, there's no concern for that.
Okay.
Yeah, these three wells have been out for about a year,
Right.
so waiting on funding to come in so we can.
Would you say the numbers again?
For the bid prices,
No, the well numbers.
Right.
5,
That's what I needed to know.
5, 11, and 32.
I see it. I see it. I was looking in the wrong place. Thank you.
the second question we got was on the PRV on Grogan's Mill Road. PRV is a pressure regulating valve in this case. Basically, it says it's a valve that's in the middle that says that the pressure over here is less or greater than the pressure over here. Open up and let water flow.
Mhm.
So the budget for that is $80,000 for construction. We received bids last Thursday. And we had one bidder, which is Mallard Construction. He does all of our current underground work and so on and so forth. His bid was 190,000. Budget being 80,000 is causing questions, so we have to go through the process. And so Aaron and the team will be scoring that later this week. And then once it's scored, we plan to bring Mallard in and talk to him and say, okay, why is it 190,000? Why is it so high? What can we do to reduce the cost? So no notice to proceed, no plans at this point to proceed forward, but we know we need to get that number down because 190,000, that's way too high. So,
Right. We'd have to take it to our board of directors for approval.
If you're talking over there, I wish you'd stand up because I don't know who it is or what you're saying.
Sorry.
Thank you. I'm old and deaf and mean.
I understand.
Two.
No, I was saying for our contracts over 75,000, we have to take it to our board for approval anyway. So that usually takes a month process. So we've been wanting to get the negotiations figured out and we can hopefully get the price lower. It'll still be another month or so before anything would be able to start on that project.
Thank you so much.
Is this valve shot, the existing valve?
There is no.
There is no existing valve.
The
Okay.
line was installed about 8, 9, 10 years ago with no PRV in there. So what happens is the water plant on St. Luke's constantly pumps water down here. And this water plant down here doesn't produce any water really because it's constantly being supplied. So it's system operations and flexibility.
So we really, there's no engineering way around it. You have to have this particular device to regulate it or manually.
Or manually, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same device that we've used throughout the Woodlands. We have 14 other PRVs.
Mhm.
And so this is the same thing that separates each of the pressure planes. It's over time, it's the tried and true that we've had.
Well, you're on it.
Going back.
More to come, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Going back to item number 11, no update on infrastructure funding. On the AC water lines, no topics except for just to let y'all know that in August, we're going to bring to the trustees additional information on condition testing, sampling, the labs that could be used to do the sampling, as well as a contract potential and a cost. So that way in August, trustees will have all the information on what the cost and path forward could look like.
Yeah.
Bear Branch Dam Rehab. We received 5 SOQs from engineering firms. Those are currently being evaluated and going from there to get a contract negotiated, taken to our board. So more to come on that one. Bear Branch low flow vault lid replacement. That was completed last month. No update on that. It's all been fully expended under schedule and under budget. Bear Branch monitoring report. Basically, they went out weekly like they do. They found some fences that were cut, some trash, and so fixing fences, no graffiti. That's the good news. They did do a de-snagging survey. They're getting that to a contractor now so they can price out the de-snagging. And they took down, I think they said about 10 trees from storms that blew through their area. So
What's de-snagging, please?
that is, so you have your creek that runs through and you have stuff that sticks into it or stuff sticking out and they go through and remove all that. So,
This is the creek that's downstream of the dam?
correct.
Okay.
I believe it also covers Alden Branch, which comes from 242 down 242 a little bit,
Okay.
from 1488 down 242.
Very good. Thank you. 24 budget, that's fine.
That was presented last,
Okay. All right.
so there's been no changes.
And we vote on it next month, or is that another budget? There was some voting on a budget in August. Which one is
I think it's today,
Yeah.
but I don't,
today?
That's item 13. is it
Okay, all
not?
right.
it is not. That's,
It's number 13.
that is all I have,
Okay.
unless you have any questions.
I don't. Mike?
Nope.
Betty?
Mm-mm.
Donna?
Um,
Questions?
no, you mentioned no update on the AC water lines.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, so when we talked to the trustees in the MUDs last month, there was more information requested about what could the path forward be, what would the cost be. Right now, we're gathering all the information to take to the trustees in August.
okay.
Okay. Consider an act on, agenda item 12. Consider an act on purchasing cameras for the Bear Branch Dam area and modifying the FY 2024 budget. Who's going to make that presentation? You, Chris,
We'll
again?
make an attempt at it.
Okay.
So when Brett Rayleigh, the project or division manager over at Bear Branch was here, I believe last month, he had mentioned at one point in time, there was some interest in putting cameras out at Bear Branch from some of the buds. What he's proposed, instead of putting up basically fancy security cameras, to use trail cameras, game cameras.
Mhm.
I think he said about $300-400 a piece, and putting those out there and seeing what can be captured from that. I don't, since the budget has not been approved yet, that could be added. Or y'all could just say want further analysis and we could look into it further. So it's really, I guess it's more of a conversation of, do y'all want cameras out there? And if you do, is it a fancy setup? Or is it like a game camera that just alerts you and takes pictures if something's out there?
That was very well received last month when Brett made that presentation. And if we're to act now,
I thought there was some possibility they might be able to look at the budget and not even have to alter the budget to put those cameras in there. There was, I thought that you said that last month.
I would agree, especially if you go with the game cameras. They're a lot more inexpensive and a lot easier to get. So I would imagine, I haven't seen the budget, but I would imagine you could fit a few of those in there without modifying the budget.
Would you consider a motion to approve going with a game camera in the event that no budget modification is required?
Yeah.
Okay,
I think I would. I think we're always, every month we hear about repairs out there and graffiti or fence cut or something.
Mhm.
I think that costs money, so I think we need to find out what's going on, and this is an economical way to do that, I believe.
Would the game cameras identify a person's face so you could track who's doing it?
Not that I'm aware of.
It just says somebody's there cutting the
Somebody's
fence.
there, sends an alarm, sends an alert, takes a general picture so you can see if there's one, two, if it looks like kids,
Mhm.
just a little bit of identification.
And then once we knew that it was, say 4 kids, what would we do? Go sit out there with the shotgun or what?
call the police.
And who's
When that usually is exactly the answer. But, I mean, so the alarm would happen
Right,
and the police could be called in real time.
correct.
Okay.
Would they get there in time before the graffiti stopped?
You would, no way, no.
No way of knowing. But maybe it'll give them an idea of, hey, this is happening every day at 11 PM, so you can do another patrol at 11 or
Mhm.
something of that nature.
I think it's an economic way to get some additional information to, you might even see which yard they're coming out of or where they're coming through and they're not used to anybody coming out. So if you get police there or anybody there, rather quickly you would catch people in action.
Agree.
And it would indicate whether or not we needed to go to a higher dollar system. If, you know, we're gonna get a lot of general information and we may not need to go to a high
I
dollar.
agree. Then you get a high dollar one if needed, and then you could identify people, night vision, whatever else it may be. So
Okay.
You're talking significant amount of money in that particular case, I would think.
Potentially.
I would imagine you would be.
Well, I guess that the cameras would be subject to theft also.
Okay.
They're not high enough.
Yeah,
Okay.
no,
They're
I
game
agree.
cameras, right? So they're hidden.
correct, they should be.
Mhm.
Now, I know Lake Conroe Division, who manages Rare Branch, they use these in other locations around the lake, and so they have a way to secure them, I'm sure. But we can definitely say, make sure they're hidden, they're not easily found and located.
Mhm.
Have they had any feedback on success they've had? Do they use trail cameras or what?
They do. They like them, and that's why they made this recommendation, because they found it as a good, inexpensive way to get some information and then go.
Okay, so
I'll make the motion.
make a motion.
I
to-
second.
And with a second for review of this and acceptance, should it be able to be implemented without an increase in the budget? And then we'll come back. All in favor signify by, is further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain, same sign. The motion passes. Thank you. As the song goes, a little bit's better than nada. No? Okay, where are we? Number
13.
13. Consider an act on 2024 budget for the San Jacinto River Authority Woodlands Division. We didn't have a budget approved, or excuse me, included in the packet, did we? But we had one in last month?
We had one last month and the month before, if I'm not mistaken.
I do have some copies of the Woodlands Division budget if you'd like to see it. Nothing has changed from what was presented, but if you do want one,
If we're gonna act on it, does it require action today, being as we're just now seeing it?
it does. This is the budget for the Woodlands Division that we presented in May.
Been several, we've seen it several,
Several times.
but you're saying there've been some changes.
There have been no changes.
Okay.
I thought
Okay.
you said that there
Oh,
had
no,
been
if we
changes.
have Changes we would have put in your.
Right,
packet.
okay.
Okay,
No changes whatsoever. And this is the vote for you to direct your trustee on how to vote at the August trustees meeting, which is the official.
Exactly. I knew that August came in there somewhere.
Okay,
I don't know if we probably discussed that in the past. I mean, we just
discussed it at length, yes. Yeah,
make a motion to approve the
Accept
budget.
it. Mhm.
except
The budget. Yeah, and I'll touch.
second, and with a second. Yep. Director Wise and Director Doherty second. Further discussion on this matter, Donna?
Well, will it impact if the AC pipes that we talked about, that maybe some of them don't need to be replaced? If they can go 70 years and others may need to be replaced sooner because they're over a fault line and you have to service the houses regardless of the fault line. So maybe there needs to be something to look at those, and you have to do mitigating engineering things to those areas, maybe extra sand, extra valves or something to
Right.
make the pipes more flexible. And so it could be that those areas, I think, are in the newer part of the Woodlands, I believe. And the older part of the Woodlands may not need to be replaced, even though they're 50 years, because maybe they can go to 70. So it may be the opposite. You may have to replace the newer areas because of the fault lines.
Is that
And so I don't know if that impacts the budget.
It doesn't. So the budget that we're asking for approval on, that's the operations and maintenance. That's the annual budget. The only thing that's included in there, well, there's two things really. One is debt service on 2017 bond for major maintenance that was done 2017. The second is the funding for the R&R plan. The R&R plan is generally anything that has less than a 20-year service life. Pumps, motors, valves, small line extensions, no AC line replacement.
Okay.
All the AC line replacement and everything that you just talked about, that's what we're going to talk about in August with the trustees. But that is all proposed to be bond funded, which that decision will come later on.
Okay.
So, yeah, approval or denial of the budget changed nothing with the AC lines.
Thank you for identifying that aspect.
That wasn't
Thank you.
clear, sorry.
Yeah. Further discussion? There's been a motion and a second made. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Very good. Thank you. Now, agenda item 14. Bear Branch, Panther Branch Research Forest Drainage Project and improvements update. Nobody from LJA here, so you're still up.
I'm gonna tell you what I can here, maybe can fill in the rest. I'm not a part of these meetings since it is another Bear Branch item, but there is an update on page 41. It's our one-page update. It gives you percent completed, budget completed. So far, the things I've heard is that it's basically on schedule, on time. If it's more specific than that, and I'm gonna have to get back.
Still running through the modeling and running tests on the model. So that's, till that's completed, we won't have a lot of output.
Okay, that brings us to the Spring Creek detention study. Mr. Hildebrand isn't here. Here we go. You're rolling, man.
So, Spring Creek study, right now, we're still working with the solar farm folks to see if there is a possibility of coexisting with the retention pond. So that's a work in progress at this time. Right now, there's still no, more open houses, public hearings, whatever they're called. No more of those town halls, I guess. Anyways, none of those are currently scheduled at this time. Right now, what we are looking at is mostly just the solar farm. So
And that's Rice's,
that is
okay.
Rice's land, somebody else's solar farm.
Oh, okay.
Very good. Did a good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item 16, the attorney's report. Katie? Please.
Brian apologizes. He isn't here. He's on a family vacation, so I'm filling in for him. I don't have anything to report to you this month. I wanted to let you know that next month we're gonna have several items on the agenda to discuss the legislative session summary that our office put together. We have two lobbyists who are in Austin throughout the session. And so they've put together a summary, which is on the Google Drive. It's pretty long summary, it's like 30 pages, but it's really good. So we'll be discussing that next month, and we'll have a few agenda items to address some of the things that we have to adopt resolutions for and stuff based on the session.
Excellent. Thank you, Katie. Let's see, agenda item 17. Review and act on resolution in support of Jace Houston. That would be on page 40.
We didn't do that last month. I thought we did that.
No, this is something different. Eric, would you please provide an oversight as to what this is, why this is, and how this is?
Forward, so
Yeah.
it may be that we, another draft.
Yeah, you did talk about it a little bit. It was not on the agenda. It made it on the agenda about half the meetings last month, not on all. It's on all this month. It is a resolution that was originally drafted probably 2 months ago as all of the legislative things were going on related to SGRA and Jace Houston. I guess the purpose of it is to express to SGRA board and others how Woodlands feels about what happened or what occurred. So far, that Metro and Mud One, Metro has chosen not to proceed with it, and Mud One has. And the original author of it is sits on Mud One's board, Bob Levitt. So they're moving forward with it. There's a couple minor draft questions that they had. I have not received. Those that did contemplate it last month were instructed to reach out to me with any changes to it. I did not receive any changes from directors other than questions to the effect of what's the purpose of this document.
It's like published somewhere or in a plaque out there in the lobby, or, you know, exactly how is it going to be used?
My understanding is that it would be provided to the SGRA board and possibly to some of those legislators as well, and other media outlets.
How many other MUDs have approved this so far?
Just
This is only the third meeting, so it's 1-on-1 right now so far, and I suspect there'll probably be roughly that
I
percentage.
have a
Little concerned because I don't know Jace Houston,
I don't either.
and I don't like to, I can't really comment on this with knowledge. So, for
do you
me,
trust me, Mike?
well, sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I know him and I worked this whole thing through, all the way through the legislature, so. I mean, I think this is valid. I don't know that sending it to the legislators is gonna have any impact. If the 990,000 calls and letters that they got during the session didn't make any difference, I'd be surprised. But I think it's a good thing to do for Jace, who is very competent. He got a raw deal, and it needs to, I like that it's stated in here that you know, we got the state government trying to run the Woodlands water thing, and that's way out of line. And I like that it says that in there.
I'm in the middle ground. I agree with both of you. I mean, I personally know Jason, have worked with him very closely and found everything you've said to be exactly true. However, I would like you to consider perhaps that we defer this until next month, because Director Walker isn't here, and I always value his objectivity on these matters. That's my motion, would be to defer.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
And maybe I should know this already, but I'm old and I forgot.
One more check.
Yeah, what was the reason that board, that they decided to let him go, or, you know, the legislature took this action? I know there was some.
Will
lot-
Metcalf in the legislature, his, I forgot the
what was
bill.
Reasoning, what was?
1540 was the bill, and it was the sunset bill for SJRA. And that was started in the House, and there was another bill number over in the
It got
Senate.
modified, but I think Will Metcalf wanted the Jace Houston to be fired.
Right. Uh-huh.
I think that we're getting a little ahead of our skis on this one, because there was no action taken on that bill, on that amended bill.
Right.
And Jace saw what was going down, and for want of another word, threw himself on the sword, because he knew that there would be excessive damage to the SJRA board and other river authority boards across the state if this precedent was set.
Yeah.
So to avoid all of this precedent being set, he fell on his sword and chose to resign. He was not fired. The board of SJRA strongly made resolution and is on the record of full support and their disappointment in his decision to resign from a professional standpoint. Eric, can you add anything more to that?
I think that was said well.
So that's
Get you
kind
fired
of how
along
the,
with it.
I can do that.
Yeah.
That's the way that I recall it going down. And he was not fired.
Right.
It's threatening.
Or,
I mean, but
Yeah.
it was a compromise, I guess, to satisfy those who would have passed legislation which would have had far-reaching ramifications. Just exactly as you said.
Would be approved with the amendment that Jace be removed. That was in the legislature.
right, it would set,
And it was done
Yeah.
after the bill had gone through the committee.
right, they were worried it would set a precedent and
Yeah.
that they could impact other water authorities,
Right.
not just San Jacinto.
Right.
If you remember, I think it was, if you listen to the testimony that went on before Chairman Perry's committee,
Mhm.
I think it was Senator Nelson, is that? No, the gentleman that spoke, and he said, if this passes, he says, I can see coming back here, spending about 80% of our time in personnel matters of every agency that is in existence across the state. Because it was so unusual and unprecedented.
Right, it was specifically targeted to Jace Houston.
Why?
I think it was specifically
Yeah.
targeted
Was it by name or was it by position?
by position, but you
Hmm.
know who held the
Yeah.
position.
Jace was in the amendment.
Was it?
Yeah, I think his name was in the amendment. Anybody from SJ, if his name was not used in the amendment.
I
Okay,
do not believe it was.
yeah, okay.
It was just the
Position was listed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I think we can defer. I just, I thought that, that brings me up to speed. There might have been more to this than meets the eye as far as.
Yeah, what,
Let's
absolutely.
let it be.
that's a fair.
I do. That's what young people know. and
Yeah. I value Director Walker's participation
Yeah,
and I
I
would
agree.
like to
Yeah, we
get his discussion. We can do it next month
Mhm.
I don't know if you'll be here next month
upon his return.
upon his return.
We'll-
Okay.
We'll do it, and we can have a full discussion and, because I don't know that there's any urgency for action,
Okay.
you know, so
Got it.
that's my motion.
Right.
Somebody gonna second it?
I'll second it.
And, further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, abstain. Very good. We'll defer that until the return of, Director Walker. Okay, the always insightful, ever present general manager's report.
All right.
General Manager Peters.
Thank you. Just have a couple things to update you on. Last month I did mention that I would be completing a letter of commendation as instructed by the trustees and presenting that to the board of directors of SJRA. I did so. It was received very nicely from the board of directors from SJRA, so I think that went well. Wanted to update you on Lone Star Groundwater Conservation District has announced the new GM that they have chosen. Her name is Sarah Gupa. Or excuse me, Kuba,
Mhm.
excuse me.
Have you met her?
I have not yet.
Mhm.
So
An impressive background.
CUPA.
KOUBA, formerly with Habitat for Humanity.
A lot of nonprofit work, it looked like in her resume to me. I can't remember who and what, but
That's right. In our packet, there's a few customer service thank yous from some residents of good experiences interacting with our staff. I thought that was, I always like seeing those things and we'll always share those with you. As we started a couple months ago, we wanted to continue to give you a public education committee and a public outreach update. So John's here to kind of give you an update on that.
Before we go, I just have one question. I was asked this by one of my residents. Do we have any concerns over lead and copper? I mean, my answer was probably not. That's mostly affecting the older Chicago's, New York's, Philadelphia's, Baltimore's, places like that. Is that accurate or inaccurate?
We're working through that right now. Basically, anything that was built before the late 80s, 88 and before has the possibility that it could. Although it looks like most likely we don't have that issue with lead service leads. So the first step is to build the inventory, which we're working with Freese Nichols to go through that, as well as Harp with our GIS. So everything's kind of in flux right now. We have till next year to complete that analysis.
I have a question, I'll go on to that. They're testing these in, is this checking the lead and copper in individual homes or in the system?
Both.
So if
So
my,
is that, if you find copper or lead or copper, is that going to be pipe in the housing that needs, in your own home that has something needs to be done, or is it something within the system?
Could be either.
I know people that have had to change out their piping system in their home.
so should I be concerned because my house was sold in 1987, which means it might have been built just
I don't think
1986.
there's any reason to be concerned until all the testing's done, the inventory's done and all that. So there's, it's not showing up in the water testing that we do regularly. So it doesn't appear that there will be an issue. But the EPA, where this came from is the EPA changed their rules a couple years ago. You've always tested for it, but they've lowered the rules, they've lowered the levels. And so now there's trigger points where you have to identify, actually inventory your entire system. So that's the distribution system and the service leads going to the homes. And then there'll be a lot of testing to be done. So a lot more to come on that, but we're working through it. I don't think there's any reason to be concerned.
Yeah. I'm not so sure, if I'd have known this, they called me and asked me, since I was on the board of directors here, to use my home as one for the sample. If I'd known if I was at risk, I'd have to tear some piping out of my house. I'm not so sure I would volunteer to do that sample.
But it's costly.
You'd rather bear the consequences?
Copper will always be, if you let it sit overnight for 12 hours in your piping, you're gonna get some, that's what copper is. You're gonna get some of that leaches out. And if you let your spigot run for 10 seconds before you take the drink, then you're not gonna get that shot of copper. So, but they tested this based on sitting there for 12 hours. So I do have a little.
And no one's gonna make you do anything. If the resident chooses not to do something, if it isn't in fact found, then it's the resident's decision not to do anything. And we'll have to report that to the.
That'd probably have to be disclosed at the time of sale.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
have to be closed at time.
I don't know about
I
that.
don't know either.
Let's hope it doesn't come up with anything, because I didn't have the full.
I did the same thing.
Did you?
Yeah.
How old is your house?
94.
Oh, mine's 87, so I'm more concerned.
94.
It was banned it was banned by 88.
Oh, okay.
So
So
I didn't make the cut.
What is it? Lead or copper?
It's lead and
both
copper.
the lead solder used to fuse the copper together.
And that lead solder to fuse the copper together was banned in 88. Okay, so I got it.
Actually 86, and then there was an allowance for a year or so before it all kind of got eradicated. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Thank you. John, you've been very patiently waiting.
As a segue, there will be communication requirements from the EPA coming with that too, guidelines. So talk more about that at the time, how we're communicating with the public on that. All right, page 52 of your packet, you got your communications report. I'm going to touch on a few items within that. So we're halfway through the third quarter of our strategic plan. So the spotlight now is on water conservation for the summer months. I mean, we're abandoning our other messaging, but we put particular emphasis on showing residents all the great things we can provide them on the front of water conservation, wise guys, rebates, and so on. On the following page, I'm not gonna give you a whole bunch of statistics this month, but I do want to highlight the fact that June came in on our website as our third highest month ever for traffic. So now all 6 full months of 2023 are within the top 10 all time for traffic. So we're trending well as far as website visitation and that being a barometer of a larger marketing efforts. The weekly email, that's holding steady, continues to be a significant tool for us. People are opening and engaging with that. We did send out a couple individual emails. You'll be seeing more of those. We want to get a little bit more email traffic out there. Our TV service line inspections, sending that out as standalone, follow up on water quality reports, and we'll have more coming.
What do you mean by individual email?
So we have the Monday morning
Right.
irrigation recommendation and newsletter that goes out every Monday at 9 a.m. But we're sending out more emails midweek. Because our
Just like
messages
one
are more-
topic. Is
Yeah,
that what you mean by that? Yeah, okay.
trying to ramp up the traffic a little bit, and of course, top those important topics.
What you've been sending out looks good. I get comments from people about, how much better and how much more information is there. So
Well, I did want to note this month.
congratulations.
Thank you. I did want to note this month that we're really trying to communicate the point with directors that you are such an important conduit for us in both directions for customers, right? You take messages out, but you hear those messages and we want to get those back. So the information you're getting, residents, good, bad, and otherwise, please send it my way. Shoot me an email, give me a call, whatever. I want to hear the,
Well, constituents in 60 have noted that, when they go to the website, it's difficult to figure out how to get in touch with somebody. I mean, I know there's the water email thing, but it's not readily apparent that you could call anybody here to, give them your thought.
we're not finding the contact information.
That's what I've been told.
Okay.
And I mean, I want to call Mike all the time and complain about stuff he's doing and I can't find his stuff.
We can look at that. In short, though, our H2O Save phone number is top, and then our footer is on every page that has all our contact information.
But it's the water, this contact information here.
Oh,
I'm
sorry,
talking
for
about
month.
the individual
I apologize.
directors is what I've been told.
Those,
Now, I've looked at it. I hadn't seen numbers for individual directors, but I hadn't done an exhaustive look. I'm just, giving you feedback.
Okay.
That's all.
take a look at that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, page 3, we've just got from referred marketing through community impact and chronicle, digital, there's print in there. Willis Community Magazine, you'll see a 2/3 page ad there. We get prominent real estate for that. It's good for us. And we did an article on water loss in the July magazine. So that full article in readable form is a few pages back from your report. We're in process of adding Nextdoor to our social media suite. It's just one more tool to get in front of stories, control the narrative. So
That's where we get the biggest complaints. There's so many complaints about everything on there, though, you couldn't keep up with it.
well, there's an agency account. We're going to be broadcasting information. We're not going to be diving into threads.
Mhm.
That could be endless.
Mhm.
You just want to get that information out in advance like other agencies do.
Okay.
Please use that as a major tool.
I don't answer them. I just look and think, what am I looking
Some
at?
good entertainment there for sure.
It isn't entertaining, I can tell you that.
And
Bunch of mean people on that social,
all kinds for sure.
Mm.
Communications consultant. So SRA has received input from Woodlands Water staff and members of the PEC on those proposals. And they're going to be evaluating that here soon. And then their board will vote on their recommendation straight forward on the 24th. So we hope that they'll be secured by the 1st of September and we'll get to work. With that, any questions?
The only other thing I'd like to ask about is the back of the water bill. If I get it in paper, I like what you've got here. But what about the, the email bills and that sort of thing? Is that gonna be, is there a way to repeat that somehow?
We're not attaching that to the
Okay,
to electronic billing.
okay.
And Maureen might, you know, have some insight on that, but what we do try to do is take these images and put them in other formats, whether that be in emails, social media, so
Mhm.
leverage that in other places.
Okay, good.
Thanks, John. Great report. Thanks for all the proactive changes that you've made to improve our communications and outreach to our resident customers. Yes, ma'am.
At the bottom of that, it says, which is why I had all that, wrote down all that information so I could remember it from my constituents. It says, what are directors hearing? Is that something that we need to bring to this meeting, or we need to call you and say, misinformation about why you reduced the level of the lake? Hearing a lot of that, I mean, how do you want to handle that? That's what I'm saying.
Well, I think up to you guys if you think there's stuff worth discussing in this forum, but
Mhm.
at the very least, yeah, send it to me directly.
Okay.
Or to Eric if that's more appropriate, or to both of us.
Mhm.
Reason we're trying to plant that seed on now is as the PR firm comes in, there's going to be some community surveys and different information. We want to know what is not hitting the residents, what's not resonating, what they still have questions about, so that we can start to kind of formulate our messaging around what we're hearing in the community. And often y'all are the front line in the community. And so we're just asking all the directors to just keep your eyes and ears open to what the community is saying, share it with us, and we'll start to kind of maneuver our messaging around that as we go. And also, a little bit later this year, we're going to be looking at redoing the strategic plan for next year. If you recall, this year, there's 4 quarters, there's 4 different topics that we're covering. We're just starting quarter 3. We kind of want to know what topics we might want to cover in the strategic plan next year, as well as the information that's going to be covered in the PR campaign with SGRI. So it's all kind of goes together, but we want to make sure we're hitting the customers.
Excellent. Thanks again, John. Okay. Receive the agenda item 19, receive the Woodlands Water Trustees Report. It's on pages 49 through 51.
The 2 big highlights. I mean, there was a lot of talk about AC Waterline. I think the result was that SGRA will be bringing, as is reported already today, that SGRA would be bringing recommendation on condition-based analysis in August. The trustees approved the 2024 WWA salary budget, which included essentially $150,000 decrease in the budget from last year, and then a CPI increase for salaries.
To the benefits of Veritex One, please.
And then that was the other thing. The trustees also approved moving forward with switching out or changing out our billing software to Veritex One. Maureen can probably talk about more of the details, but essentially this will allow us to more efficiently kind of marry up with the WaterSmart interface that the customers have right now. There's really 2 pieces to the interface on how you would call in, set up an application, set up service, check your bill. There's 2 interfaces. This will bring it to 1, so it'll be more, I think, user-friendly for the customer. It'll certainly be more efficient, we expect, internally with our staff. In the budget, we actually believe that we already have, there's a position that we're not going to refill because we believe once we get to the go live on the new software that the efficiency gained will allow us to not have to rehire a position that is vacant right now. So a lot of different positives. I know, is there anything I missed?
Efficiencies, streamline, automate.
Yeah, once there's a 2-year on the cost of it, there's a 2-year buyback on the initial capital cost of it, and then there's a going forward benefit on the annual fees that we're currently paying.
The staff did a great job in negotiating with Veritex One to get us the absolute best deal, probably unprecedented as far as what they're looking at. How did we do this? Why did we do this? So, yeah, they did a good job. Any further questions on the trustees report? Okay. Katie, do we need to recess to closed session? Good. Reconvene. Discuss matters for placement on future agenda. We've talked already about the revisiting of the resolution from item 17. Are there any other matters which this board needs to discuss as a board that we can put on next month's agenda? Hearing none, I'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you.
Exactly an hour.